Hello and welcome. My name is Sara Oblak Speicher, and it is my joy and privilege to team up with the amazing experts at Team Trade and Prosper in order to bring to you a series of webinars to help you expand your mindset and elevate your business. Today we're going to be diving into the third and final one, where we're talking about how to realign business strategies in order to hold this bigger vision and play the long game, even when it feels counterintuitive. And in case you have not got a chance to look into the first two yet, the first webinar was about how to trade fear for expansion so that you can prosper in business and life no matter what. And in the second one, we were looking into how to stop spinning your wheels and take back your power so that you can really move forward without being distracted and exhausted. I invite you to take a pen and paper and write down anything that resonates with you, and hopefully I see you at the end with a whole new set of tools and actionable steps that you can put in place right away in your business and life alike. How to realign business strategies to bigger vision and long game, even when it feels counterintuitive? Let me first ask, how are you? And I mean it. See, if you're like 51% of businesses out there, you have been experiencing negative pandemic-related impact and also might be expecting it to take more than 6 months to resume the normal operations. Well, at this point, let's just be honest. What does the new normal even get to look like? Luckily, it's going to be exactly what you choose it to be, and that's we are here today. That said, I do believe that you might have been experiencing some deep shifts in your market needs and priorities as well as yours. You might have been dealing with disruptions in your supply chain and distribution. You're possibly figuring out how to preserve the narrowing profit margins as a result of all of those changes. And yet, if you're anything like myself, I know you're feeling optimistic about all the new possibilities and different ways that are awaiting on the other side. So therefore, you must be wondering where to begin, what to look for, how to do it. So let's take a look. How can you inspire intentional business and build it out to last? So today in this webinar presentation, we'll be diving into actionable strategies, practical tools, so that you can come away knowing exactly how to identify and eliminate gaps, leaks, bottlenecks, as well as, this lack of the alignment in your business. So we'll be looking into sales and cash flow, stability and profits, systems and efficiency, as well as impact and legacy. Now, if you take a look, if this was a visual representation, it would look like Maslow's hierarchy of human needs, except it is a hierarchy of business needs. And it is illustrated here by an amazing graph from Mike Mikhailovich's latest book, Fix This Next. I would invite you actually to take it a little bit further and upgrade the triangle diagram into a circular one. Because let's face it, all of this are correlating. We are looking into all of those elements simultaneously, always keeping an eye on each and every one of them and nurturing each and every one of those levels. So with that said, let's dive right in. In case you and I have not met before, my name is Sara Oblak Speicher. I'm a mom to 2 little ones, a wife, a traveler, and I grew up in a family of makers and crafters in Slovenia, which is why I felt really excited when I was invited to join this project, because entrepreneurship does run in my blood. And I'm going to share with you in just a little bit a story from my own dad, who has taken over and ran a bakery for over 20 years before he retired recently. And I learned from him how to navigate some of the most challenging times economically, in a political climate, when it comes to, really navigating and building this agile business that is unstoppable, while there's a responsibility towards the team of employees, to the market, and so on and so forth. But before we go way way out of the line here. What also qualifies me to present this to you is the fact that I have been an entrepreneur myself for nearly a decade now, and I've had the joy and privilege of helping remarkable leaders, creators, experts, founders, CEOs, and their teams worldwide think and play bigger no matter the circumstances. And that was after I built an international athletic career for myself. So high performance, agility, reinvention, sometimes even starting from scratch, are no strangers for me. I know how to navigate in those waters. I know how to come out thriving. And that's why we're here today. So let's start with sales and cash flow. In particular, how to reestablish and replenish it. See, just like there's ABCs, sales is really one of the business basics. We are in business to make money because nonetheless, when we go to a grocery store, we need money. We use money to pay our team, to buy raw materials, to buy supplies, and so on and so forth. Now, many businesses have experienced growth, some in a steady way, some has been like skyrocketing. There are also those who have been struggling greatly by staying afloat, and many of those who folded altogether. If you're familiar with the book How the Mighty Fall, actually, Jim Collins writes that, and I quote, "Every institution is vulnerable, no matter how great, no matter how much you have achieved, no matter how far you've gone, and no matter how much power you have garnered, you are vulnerable to decline. There is no law of nature that the most powerful will inevitably remain on the top. Anyone can fall, and most eventually do." So some of the ways to preserve and increase your sales and cash flow is to go deeper and to elevate your services. This is especially relevant to those of you who are service-based, like virtual assistants, website designers, tutors, consultants, coaches, photographers, and so on and so forth. I had been working with fitness professionals recently. Both of them have been following this typical model, trading sessions for dollars and trading monthly subscriptions in person, actual brick and mortar gym for a certain amount of dollars every month. Well, the brick and mortar gyms have closed down, and the the buy by the session model has not been really sustainable for another one. So what we actually did was we revamped the whole model, and both of the clients were able to move their practices online. They were able to really elevate the level of the service they're providing, and therefore move their session-based and membership-based model to annual packages that topped $60,000 per year per client. Now, both of these clients have results, experience, and expertise to back it all up. But I do want to do a check-in with you here, because I could almost hear some of you hearing this little voice on your shoulder in the back of the mind that says, well, that's all great, but this is not possible for me. I could not make such leaps. First and foremost, I'm also a maker. I'm not a service provider. So what the heck? Well, I hear you. And I do invite you to examine this little resistance that's coming up as the exact reason why you're holding back, why you are standing in your own way, and just treat it as such. There's no judgment, there's no shaming, there's no guilting. It is what it is, and that's why we created the first 2 webinars in the first place, to help you overcome the resistance, the self-doubt, the fear, and the insecurities that we all, as human beings, at any level of our business and life journey, are facing. So this was an example of repositioning on the market, which, as we said, it's deepening and elevating service which is still utilizing your expertise, still offering the same pretty much offer, but just to a different marketing segment and different pricing points. Now let's take a look into pivoting. And I know pivoting has been a buzzword over the past couple of months, and seemingly everybody became an expert when it comes to pivoting. Pivoting is actually a beautiful example that I can offer to you is Trade and Prosper's own Louise Newsom. Did you know that her distillery pivoted to start producing hand sanitizers during this pandemic? Again, this is a prime example of what pivoting means. It literally means taking a sharp right turn, or even make a U-turn if needed in your business. So additionally to deepening and elevating your services, repositioning and pivoting, what else can you do? Well, there's this thing called value ladder and marketing mix, as well as cash injections. So let's take a look at the first two. What can you offer? What is available within your practice, within your organization, within your business, within your craft that you can offer to your clients, to your buyers, to your customers? Can you upsell, downsell, cross-sell? Well, if you're not quite certain how that could look like, I invite you to use Target as an example when you are architecting your own buyer's experience. And if you have ever been to Target, then you know how quickly the shopping list with 4 items turns into experience of rolling down the shopping cart to the car across the parking lot with like $200 worth of items because suddenly you realize that the dog chewed your sandals, you need to buy those. Your sunglasses broke, you need those. The kids who are going to be staying home for summer, they need more art supplies, right? And since you'll be spending more time outdoors, might as well make the patio look nicer. And since you're going to be out in the patio, hey, you always wanted to create the potting garden. So where are the potting supplies? Yep, we all have been there. There's no shame in admitting that. The thing now is that after this shopping spree, we do need to replenish our budget. So let's take a look into cash injections. By definition, cash injection is something that you can offer that is of great value to a customer and it's easily available, which means that it doesn't cost you any extra time and resources to create it. So maybe it's liquidating your stock that's been sitting on your shelves. Maybe it's selling the program you created a while ago, but never do something about it. Maybe you find a way to offer a time-limited opportunity. Maybe you can offer one and the second one at half price. Maybe your customers can get every 10th haircut for free, which will bring in repeat foot traffic. Maybe it's the first-time buyer discount or a referral bonus. Again, the possibilities are really endless. And the only thing that you have to do is to get a little bit creative and just have fun with it. Because business, at the end of the day, it can be fun. And you know what? It gets fun when it's also stable and profitable. So then let's take a look into how to redesign and rebuild it to be such. So first and foremost, I want to say something for members of the audience here who might have been diving into business, selling their expertise and their products that are made with heart and soul, but who might not be comfortable with the business side of it or might not be comfortable with numbers per se. I'm seeing this every day. So I want to be really honest and transparent here and say that net revenues and gross profits are two completely different things. And the reason why I'm saying this is because so many incredibly talented people who have started their own businesses have been actually operating at the cost despite the growing sales. So let's take a look into an example of how to preserve the profits. As I mentioned before, my dad took over a bakery over 20 years ago and suddenly was responsible for a team of employees and had to learn the ropes of the whole supply chain. And as he was going through the numbers, he quickly realized that the cost of raw materials was increasing. The overhead for the rent, the salaries, utilities was increasing also. What was not increasing was the tolerance of the buyers for how much more they were willing to pay for the final product, baked goods. To add to the pain, so to speak, there's also the middlemen, the merchants, the grocers, who also wanted their own share of the profits with their own margins, right? So with the slimming margins, ultimately just selling more and making more would cause the bakery to run at cost and ultimately fold. So what he did instead was to forgo the so-called middlemen altogether, and he went directly to consumers. He created a so-called blue ocean for his bakery with uncontested market and irrelevant competition. He started door-to-door sales by converting a van into a mobile store, establishing ultimately a reliable delivery route. He not only streamlined the processes, he optimized sales efforts, and revenues ended up increasing by 200%. He preserved the profit margins, and that allowed the bakery's stability and sustainability for years to come. He also teamed up with another company that was in charge of food distributing vending machines. So he was able to bring baked goods to a brand new market in that area as well. So I want to ask you, what is it you can create in your own practice, in your own business, with your own products? Maybe it's time to look into forming a partnership, shifting a business model. We are, seeing a lot of successful models when it comes to, strategically created subscription boxes. And if you're a jewelry maker, and if somebody creates a very high quality accessories, and then another person that does pottery, hey, the possibilities for collaboration, for partnerships, for joint ventures are really endless. You just got to think outside the box a little bit. And by the way, the Blue Ocean strategy that I mentioned earlier, there's an amazing book with the same title written by W. Chen Kim and Renee Moburn on this particular topic, and I do invite you to pick it up and look through it. So as we already discussed, agile business model and supply chain and distribution rearrangements can really be the starting point of redesigning and rebuilding stability and profits. So next in the line are systems and efficiency. This is one of my favorite photos actually, because when it comes to efficiency and systems, we love to keep busy, but we are ultimately not getting far. And this image illustrates exactly how does that get to look like. So what can we do when we're rethinking and recreating them in our own businesses? One of the positive things I dare to say that has come out from this COVID time is our willingness and even absolute necessity to make businesses and lives much more productive. That means to cut out all the unnecessary stuff. This has also inspired us to reevaluate our lives, how we spend our time, where does our energy and resources go, and what we really desire to create in the future. For example, my own business has been designed actually for just this time. It has been designed to be super lean and flexible, to allow me to work only a few hours per week, to travel for weeks and months on end. Well, except for now during the quarantine time and lockdowns and closed borders. And it allowed me to do all that while raising and now homeschooling my two little ones who are 8 and 5. And the reason why I'm saying this is when I was sitting down and when I was in your seat, I dared to look years from now, and I dare to go outside of the box in the typical norms of what business ownership represented back then, and I had the audacity to say, you know what, this doesn't fit, this is not aligned, I'm going to do it my way, and this is how it's going to be. And there it is. So streamlining and optimizing are the key components of every successful business, sustainable one, regardless of where it is in its life cycle. Oftentimes, however, it's, figuring out the how that is not this obvious and conventional. So one of the examples is a craftswoman who set up production in her own home. And each day she set out to create her product, but only had a capacity for small batches. So the first look would be great. She's being resourceful, she's utilizing her own home space, and she is really in her craft every single day. But looking at the numbers, it was really obvious that the process was inefficient and expensive, actually. So she was able to rent out a commercial facility twice a week. And with the mass production for those 2 days, she was able to be much more efficient and effective. Ultimately, she was also able to design a system that could be replicated by her own team, which means it took her out of the pictures altogether. And certain tasks were also automated. Looking into the future, several companies also found themselves rethinking and eliminating launches of new products altogether because they realized that they needed capital upfront in order to finance the new market development, manufacturing, shipping, warehousing, marketing, not to mention distribution after the sales. And all of this money, they realized, could be better utilized by reinvesting back into retaining their team, the rent, and all the optimizing of what has already been working well. So just a couple of things to be with, a couple of options to consider, and a couple of questions to ask yourself. It can be complex, but it also can be simple. And it's really up to you to decide how you want to do it. So last but not least, impact and legacy. How to realign and redefine impact and legacy. And to me personally, this is a really important topic that is like a foundation to everything that I do. Everything gets seen and sifted through this lens of the long game, the impact and legacy alignment of every decision that I make. And the reason that I'm able to do that, and I invite you to do that as well, and to evaluate, realign, and redefine, is to first and foremost look into your core values, that higher mission and deeper purpose. Now, I don't know if you have seen, but there's this video clip from an interview with Oprah, and she's recalling how some years ago she was talking to Maya Angelou, who was her great mentor. And Oprah was really excited to share how she was building schools and how she thought that that would be her great legacy. To which Maya replied, "You have no idea. You have no idea what your legacy will be, because your legacy is every life that you touch." So I want to ask you at this point, what is the intentional business that you are building? Intentional impact that you're making? Legacy that you're stepping into and will live in this world long after you depart this physical 3D reality? There are many reasons why I ask this, and especially in times like this, when things seemingly are falling apart, where things are being challenging, when it seems like we're hitting the wall, when it seems like our dreams are being broken down. It is this vision, and it is the legacy, and it's something greater than us that helps us get out of the bed, even on those days where we don't even know how we'll make it through the day itself. And like I said, we're all human beings, and I have those days just as much as anybody else out there. And when you look at the social media, yes, it might seem like people's lives are perfect, but it's only because they're showing a small segment. And oftentimes, if you read between the lines, what is being put out there is exactly what this person needs to hear at a very particular moment. So you can see there's quite some uncertainty and quite a lot of confusion and pain out there. So I do invite you to elevate yourself above that. And this is again something that we were talking about in the first two webinars. And the best practice to start to rethink again are your core values, as I already mentioned. What do you stand for, especially in times like this? What do you want to do, and why does it matter? How can you integrate it into your business? And then from there, get clear on the value that you want to add to your team, to your customers, to your communities, and how can you build on that? So another example, a while ago actually, has been in the news. A pizza joint in Philadelphia, created this amazing paid forward thing when the buyers were able to, I think it was like $1 or so, and they got a post-it note, and they could stick the post-it note on the wall, wrote a little message, and every person in need could get into the pizza place, get a post-it note off the wall, and use it as a voucher to get a slice of pizza. What a beautiful legacy. Another colleague of mine, actually, Rachel Rogers, her coaching company made $1 million in revenue in June alone, all while she was building a network of anti-racist small businesses. In addition to that, she also wanted to make sure that any business who is employing people who currently are responsible and have little kids at home, to have this open conversation about the plans. Are they sending kids back to school? Will they need additional support homeschooling? Will they need additional flexibility? Be that leader, be that business owner who has long-reaching and wider conversation, who has the empathy and who goes beyond what is expected. Because a part of a legacy, it's not just what we produce and give to others, but it's also what we do for our team members and then also for our families at home. So just the fact that you are here, I do know that you have a big heart, and the heart in the right place, so to speak. And I am excited and honored to see where you take this, what you make out of this current situation, because like we already established, the sky is the limit, and you are capable of absolutely anything that you put your mind to. And I certainly hope that with the help of this webinar series, you were able to gather resources, insights, pieces of advice, strategy, tactical steps, anything from intangible and spiritual insights to some pragmatic tools that you can put in place right away. And that's a wrap. Thank you for being here with us today and through this entire webinar series. If you have any further questions or comments, if you'd like to continue this conversation, or would like to be further supported, we invite you to join Trade and Prosper community on LinkedIn and on Facebook. And I promise if you tag me in your post, I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Again, I'm a mom to two little ones. We are busy dancing the tango between homeschooling and running the businesses and navigating this new life. And I'm not online 24/7, just like you shouldn't be. That being said, if you do know of anybody who would benefit from the information, from the insights, from the new strategies and tools that we shared in this webinar series, we will be grateful if you chose to share this series with them and bring them into this space with you. That being said, again, my name is Sara Oblak Speicher, and to learn more about my work, you're welcome to visit www.makeyourlifealegacy.com. I'll see you there, and here's to your success, expansion, and peace of mind.